Yes.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Mina Jane. I'm the director of the Ashland Public Library in Massachusetts, and I can't even tell you how thrilled I am to be here with Lily and Hannah, who are with Read My Lips Boston, and they are gonna be talking about inclusive and diverse romance books. So, for anybody who knows me, I love reading romance, and for anybody who knows me, you know that I am a passionate proponent of diversity and inclusion in all of our books and all of our reading and in all of our lives. So this has been like a dream come true. So a couple things. I just want to say thanks to the Friends of the Ashland Public Library for supporting all of our programs. I'd like to thank Lily and Hannah for letting us share this program with other libraries, because when libraries work together, we totally make magic. Um, and I want to tell you that you can put anything in the chat or Q&A if you have questions or comments and absolutely what you're reading, but also that I will be sending home you all a list of everything that is recommended and then some, because Lily and Hannah have a long list of books. So I will be sending that out to everybody, including anything that you all recommend in the chat. So feel free to, like, again, use that chat for chatting with each other or for asking questions or making your own recommendations. So Lily and Hannah are with, as I said, Read My Lips Boston. I'm going to let them tell you about themselves, and then we're going to get right into recommendations. Lily, Hannah, thank you so much. I forgot to say that Lily and Hannah are the poster children of inclusion, because they have their own experiences and they show us that you can't always tell when somebody's different from you, but everybody is different from you. Lily, Hannah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mina. We're so excited to be here. I'm Hannah. And
And I'm Lily.
so yeah, we're twin sisters. We're avid romance readers. And Mina alluded to this a little bit. Lily and we both here with cochlear implants. And when we were growing up, we didn't usually see ourselves in the books that we read. And there's so many more people, especially queer people and people of color, who historically haven't seen themselves represented in popular culture. Traditional romance publishing tends to promote abled, white, cis, and hetero voices, even though everyone deserves to be the hero who gets the girl, guy, or they.
I like that. So we co-founded Read My Lips Boston, which is a mobile romance bookshop that centers BIPOC, disabled, queer, and other marginalized voices. And elevating our community is really, really important to us. So we always give 10% of our proceeds to a different featured nonprofit every month. This month, we are so excited to support the Prison Book Program, which is a nonprofit based in Quincy, Mass, that supports people in prison by sending free books and reading materials that meet their specific interests, whatever they are.
And so we're so excited to be here today with, Mina and the Ashland Public Library and all of you. And we've got some romance recommendations we hope you'll love. Um, and it's a month of March. It's been kind of sunny, it's been kind of cold, it's been kind of rainy. So we decided to go with the grumpy sunshine trope for this month. And for those of you who may not be super familiar with it, the sunny grumpy trope usually pairs two contrasting opposites. Like it's an opposites attract trope. So it usually pairs two people, one who's kind of brooding and surly, that would be the grump, and another who's cheerful and optimistic, aka the sunshine. And the whole point is that these personalities kind of like clash and like challenge each other. It leads to a lot of, tension and growth and a lot of fun. You might, remember Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. There's Beauty and the Beast from Disney. That's kind of where it started for a lot of us, people who are really into the grumpy sunshine trope. Luke and Lorelai and Gilmore Girls, you name it. And historically, these stories did feature like kind of a significant power imbalance, where the Grump was more domineering and the Sunshine was more submissive, like in Jane Eyre, and Mr. Rochester, big controlling, grumpy guy. But over time, thankfully, this norm has definitely changed. And my first recommendation is gonna be That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf.
I I have to say,
Love.
I love Kimberly Lemming. I love her. I love her. Go ahead.
Yes, oh my God, so good. Like she writes such good like she's got this hilarious voice. She's got, writes a good amount of spice, good world building. And I love that, she's got like a black woman at the center of it all in all her books. And this is yeah, what were you gonna say?
Hannah, why did you pick book two, though?
Yeah, that's a good question. This was just like my favorite one because it gets started like it's just kind of really hooked me at the first chapter. Like it's in this town called Buhale. There's festival stalls, delicious food, bright lanterns. I was like, I want to be there. And I just love it because a lot of her books are like they're interconnected standalones. So they're in the same series, but like you keep seeing the same faces over and over. And it focuses on a different couple every time.
Mhm.
And I just honestly thought this was hilarious, so full of puns. Um, and in this case, local, there's this cheesemaker called Brie. She's just trying to enjoy some meat, some baked potatoes. There's this annoying farmer who won't stop harassing her. He's like, "I'm gonna buy you a drink," and she's like, "Go away." And so when he brings her one, she like throws it in his face. And then it hits, the drink hits this gorgeous blonde man, and all of a sudden he's looking at her with hard eyes, and he's like, Bree, you're my mate. I found my mate. And it turns out that drink had a love potion in it. But this one guy, Felix, says it has, like, I'm smitten with you. The love potion has nothing to do with it. Oh, and he's a werewolf. He's an absolute ray of sunshine. I love Felix. So you gotta read it.
I love Felix too, but what I really liked about Kimberly Lemming is her absolute joy with her Black characters. Um,
Yes.
the I can't remember her name, Brie, of course, and Cinnamon, who I think is just oh my God.
Yeah.
Um, they're just so happy within themselves, their hair, their looks, their bodies. It's wonderful.
Yes. Absolutely. And you don't see a lot of black female main characters featured in the fantasy and sci-fi genre.
Mhm.
And I just thought that it was like it's so important to have that representation. Back to like, you know, how they would deal with different things and humid climates with like, you know, their hair and things like that. And those like little details were definitely included.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
And
also,
it's just such a cozy fantasy. Like I think Kimberly Lemming writes really cozy romantasy, which I
Yeah.
love.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and what's a good segue is this very book was mentioned in The Love Simulation, a little bit of an Easter egg for Kimberly Lemming fans. And this is a delightful, grumpy, sunny romance that I just finished today. And it features a passionate middle school vice principal named Brianna and Roman, who is a science teacher who's kind of quiet, kind of to himself, very hot, very brooding a little bit. And they both have secret crushes on each other, but because it's not professional, Brianna avoids him at all costs. But that gets really challenging because they both sign up for a Mars simulation for the summer, which means being in a really small, isolated space. So as you may gather, there's a lot of forced proximity trope. There's a lot of slow burn, very, very slow burn, just as a warning to those of you who get a little irritated by that. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it. There's lots of sexual tension. There's a little bit of rivals to lovers, which I won't go into too much because I don't want to give a ton away. There's lots of pop culture references and like science and space vibes. If you like that, like I do, like I totally wanted to be an astronaut when I was a little kid. So it definitely brought me like that kind of joy. And some readers compare the dynamic between these characters to the dynamic between Janine and Gregory in Abbott Elementary. There are some areas where I kind of disagree with that, actually, but weirdly, the male main character loves gardening just like Gregory does, and is kind of like grumpy and taciturn like Gregory is. But I think that Brianna and Janine are a little bit different. So if anyone else has read this, I would love your opinion on that dynamic and that comparison. But yes, this is a delightful book and I recommend it.
Was there, you mentioned, did you already mention there's like a reference to the Kimberly Lemming book,
Yeah,
that kind
actually,
of
the exact book that you
yeah,
brought up.
that
Yes,
exact
that
book.
one. And it's like there's mentions of it throughout the love simulation. It's not just an isolated reference. Like she gets like Brianna, the female main character, gets her love interest to read it. And there's discussion about that, especially the spicy parts. So
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I
Um,
know. You have
Um,
to read this.
it kind of reminds me of, is it the Alexa Martin books that where they have the book club? Is that Alexa Martin? The Bromance Book Club?
Oh,
Have you read
yeah.
those?
Yeah,
Uh,
I've heard great things
Not
about
Alexa
them.
Martin, it's
It's
Lisa
on my
K. Adams.
TBR at the very top,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Lisa K. Adams. Those are really fun too. But I have a quick question about the two books because, one is a romantasy, one is seems like a contemporary with, science and whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever, like important stuff. But, do you feel like diverse characters are starting to really show up in all aspects of romance?
I think so. I think we see them across a lot of subgenres within romance. And the other books that, we have planned to talk about are, contemporary, YA, romantasy, and then a little bit of, sort of fun, quirky stuff like this.
Hmm.
I will say where I've struggled is like finding books in the sci-fi genre, like sci-fi romances, um, are not as common in the first place. But then when they do come up, they tend to not be very diverse.
Hmm.
They tend to feature, white, hetero, able-bodied people. Um, and then historical romance, there's been some movement in adding more, diverse representation in historical romance. I think that there used to be like some people kind of made the excuse, well, this isn't historically accurate, which is kind of BS.
It is beautiful.
And we're moving past that.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, I should mention that Hannah is definitely the sci-fi person of the two of us, so definitely deferring to her on all things sci-fi.
I'm
I
just looking for my space opera white whale.
Yeah.
I have to say that I'm a huge fan of paranormal monster romance, like that entire genre that's really coming up. I mean, paranormal I've always been in monster romance is amazing. And I think this about sci-fi too, is that sometimes the monsters and the aliens take the place of somebody who is diverse,
Mm,
in not a great way.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
that frustrates me. Yeah.
There's definitely like this stereotype of the alien who is modeled after an indigenous person.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that is not great.
Not great.
And there's
A very
also
common
like
trope.
the substitute of like a non-binary person, like,
Hmm.
oh, this alien is a they, therefore we have non-binary representation. I just don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Amanda says that she's a huge fan of Everina Maxwell, is her favorite sci-fi romance. Is that the author, Amanda? Amanda's in my romance book club. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next book because I could talk about this all day. Oh, I'm so excited about this.
Yes. This is a great book. It's by a local author. Tara Tai lives right here in Massachusetts. And this is a sapphic enemies to lovers workplace romance. That's a mouthful. It's also our book club read of the month. And I just love this book so much. I love anything to do with video games and fandoms. And this is really interesting because I'm also a fan of like romance novels that are a bit meta. And by that I mean romance novels that are about the main character having a romance bookshop, writing a romance novel, having a meet cute in a romance bookshop. And this kind of reminds me of that line of thought, except with video games. Because one of the characters, Kat, just got when we meet Kat, she's just got a temp job at this video game development company. And she's going to be working on this big game called Compass Hollow. And specifically, she's going to write the love interest in Compass Hollow. And Kat is obsessed with romance in video games.
Mm.
And Kat's love interest in this one, Andy, is what I would call the grumpy to Cat Sunshine. Andy has been through some trauma. I will say that. There's been a lot of hate in the online community against the online gaming community against Andy. So Andy is very on guard. They want to be taken seriously as a video game developer, and romance is not in their mind serious. But these two have to work together. So there's some tension, there's the clashing of personalities. Well, they're both kind of secretly falling for each other and don't know how to deal with it. I thought it was so like you could feel it between them. It was so well written. And the stakes are so high for both of them. It's a great commentary on the video game world, which has not been kind to um, women, queer, trans people, people of color. It has not historically been kind. And then male-dominated workplaces in the tech sector, you know, there's definitely a lot of commentary on that as well.
Yeah.
And
How do you think the miscommunication trope played out in this book?
Yeah, like I feel like with opposites attract, Grumpy Sunshine, like I feel like part of the tension often comes hand in hand with the miscommunication trope. Because these are two different personalities, they communicate totally differently. Um, and there might be things that get lost in translation.
Mm.
Like Kat thinks that Andy despises her.
Yeah.
And then there's this, blurted out confession that I absolutely loved. And it was like an accidental confession, where Andy kind of like confessed their true feelings. It was great.
has to happen. So Tara Tai is actually going to be at our RomCon in May. It's May 17th. And she's one
Oh
of
my
our
gosh.
8 authors who are coming. And we're going to play Romance Jeopardy and not Jeopardy, Romance Family Feud. And I cannot wait. It's going to
Love
be so
it.
much fun. But I was really excited that Tara said yes to the RomCon because I do think that she is bringing a new, like such a current vibe to the romance genre.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's much
I
needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate what they're doing. And I'm very excited to also meet them at our book club tomorrow. Because they are joining our discussion. I feel like they're everywhere and they're so generous with their time as a local author. So that's really awesome.
Oh, well,
I
thank you.
want to go to this you said Romance Con?
Yep. RomCon is
May
our
17th.
fourth annual. I will
Ooh.
send you some information about it. It's
Oh,
always
yes,
amazing.
please.
But Erica says that Elizabeth Stevens writes sci-fi romance with BIPOC female main characters, and she's a Black author. And Amanda says, woo, there's a couple of her books that are
Ooh, okay. I will be looking into that.
okay.
Thank you very much, Erica.
You guys can
Yeah.
see the chat, right?
Yes,
Yes.
I can see the
Okay, but
chat.
I'm going to
I
continue
took a
to
peek.
moderate it just so that you know. Okay, so next book.
Ah, yes, they ain't proper. I also finished this week. It's just been a great week for reading and grumpy sunshine romances. So this is a really fun Wild Western historical romance set in the 1880s. Is written by a non-binary author, Ambiguel, and features a non-binary hero named Lou, who's kind of quiet and prickly and mysterious, kind of staunchly independent. They have some skeletons in their closet, which I won't give away today. But kind of going against their super independent, solitary nature, they get saddled, pun intended, with a woman named Clementine who is pretty determined to make Lou love them and doesn't try to hide any of it. She really wears her heart on her sleeve. She's definitely the sunshine in this dynamic. And if you love forced proximity, which obviously I do because all of my recs so far have involved forced proximity, this is gold. Another Wild West pun. But warning, it is a really, really, really slow burn. Like the slowest of the slow burns. So just be prepared for that. But there's also a really lovable ensemble of characters. There's a lot of like chosen family going on, which is another trope that I really, really love. There's a group of really supportive sex workers. There's bounty hunters that everyone kind of allies against. There's wild horses who are brought into the lives of the main characters. And I also just another note, the way that Lou's character is described through Clementine's eyes is really refreshing in my mind, just because there is a lot of acknowledgement and acceptance that Lou is neither male nor female. They're just Lou.
Hmm.
Clementine loves them for who they are, which, I really appreciate. I think that sometimes authors, especially those who are not writing from lived experience as a non-binary person, sometimes get those descriptions wrong, um, and those perspectives wrong. So I really appreciated this. I thought this was a good example of doing it in a way that was sensitive and correct.
Hmm.
Love it. I was my favorite thing in romance is when the couple gets along from the beginning. There's no big misunderstanding. And
Yeah.
they kind of are loyal to each other and have each other's backs from the very beginning. So my favorite author for everybody who knows me, Amanda, you know, is Nalini Singh, and she does that so so well. So it's really nice for me to hear of a book. They ain't proper who that does the same thing with Lou and Clementine. And Clementine, oh my God, what a perfect name, right?
Right. I know. I know. Yeah. I love that name. I love both their names. And I totally agree with you. Like it was kind of like instant love and respect,
Mhm.
which you don't always get in a grumpy sunshine dynamic. So
Right. I would say that doesn't happen a ton. Like I feel like the Grumpy Sunshine thing usually like has them clashing at first, which is really interesting. It doesn't have to be that way.
yeah.
No, love shouldn't always be that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
We
agree.
probably have time for like one or two more recommendations, and then I know that we had a couple of other things to talk about. So I'm gonna go on to the
Okay.
next one.
Yes, this is mine. T.J. Alexander's books. Instant read for me, especially the Chef's Kiss series.
Mhm.
I like to think of myself as a foodie. I'm a very amateur foodie. I'm not very good at cooking, but I like eating. And I think that qualifies me. Um, and TJ Alexander does such a great job with, their trans and non-binary characters, and they're just like front and center in the culinary world, which is such high stakes. I get so invested in these stories. And this one, Luna, uh, you know, the blonde woman you see there, when we meet Luna, she's feeling left behind. She's just been fired from her job. She's got to figure out a way to pay her bills in New York City, pay for health insurance, pay for her hormones, and she's in this frantic mode. And luckily for Luna, Fair is also in frantic mode. He needs to find a fake girlfriend pronto. He's in New York City. He's this, you know, guy talking in a French accent, asking every woman there to pretend to be his girlfriend. And then they get kind of like stuck together, working towards this like high stakes, culinary like contest. It's ridiculous. So Chen Fair is going to be kicked out of his grandfather's will if he doesn't accomplish this very complicated cooking exercise with his fake girlfriend. So they're like kind of stuck together. And there's this clashing of personalities. Like I don't think they really like each other at first. And they do kind of like like Luna thinks that Chunfair doesn't like her, and Chunfair's, kind of a grumpy to Luna's sunshine. On the surface, Luna, might seem rude and arrogant, but he's like a sweetie and he's already falling for Luna. Like basically from almost the start. She has no idea. She's totally oblivious. And I just like this book made me laugh and made me ugly cry, made me hungry. Definitely give it a read. And I just love the trans representation. This is a couple with like a trans woman and a trans man. And, you know, it, it doesn't gloss over the difficulties that trans people face in our society, especially now. Luna faces child discrimination. John Fair, John Fair's family is not completely supportive. And they're both kind of, navigating that. Um, but in the way that they support each other, the way that they like get through this cooking challenge is I I really loved it.
Interestingly, I noticed that this is also the second book.
Yes, I tend to love second books. I don't know why.
No,
And
that's
it's
not
It's
actually
also
like
a standalone. It's also a standalone. Like that seems to be very popular these days. That there are these interconnected standalones. We get a lot of customers coming up to us and saying, do you have something that's not strictly in a series? Like, do you have
yeah.
something I can pick up and enjoy without having had to read these other books for seeing
And
it?
no cliffhangers. They don't want
I
cliffhangers.
don't want, and like, I get that, Yeah.
Amanda knows me so well. I cannot read things out of order. So I would have had to, I have Chef's Kiss on my TBR, but I'll have to read it before I can read this one because I do want to read the series. I've heard
Mhm.
so much about TJ Alexander.
Yeah.
So we
I
just
would
have,
definitely read Chef's Kiss first, and the same characters show up in this book as
Mhm.
side characters.
So to see that to me makes it's not a standalone if you have
Yeah.
characters like walking
Yeah.
a previous story, and that makes me crazy. I know a lot of people don't have this problem. It's a sickness, but I'll just put it down. I'll be like, this character obviously came from another, or this couple came from another story. So
Yeah. That's a good point.
I'm very, very anal about that. And I hate that because I know people like love the second, third, fourth book in a series, and I just can't get to it.
It's
Okay,
hard.
I'm gonna flip through
Also
the
really interesting, like what makes a series versus a standalone. Like if it's interconnected standalone, but reading the previous book gives you a greater appreciation for the subsequent book. Is it a series? Maybe.
to me, it's a series.
Yeah.
You have to read it.
Really? Even though it has like a beginning, middle, and end, and there's no cliffhangers.
Yes, because I want to know what happened with the characters in the first.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
have to know. I have to know what their story was. Even if it's a sucky story, I have to know it. And that's why I don't always get to the second or third book because the first book might be sucky. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just
That's
gonna scroll through the next couple and get to the last one just because I will send out these recommendations to everybody. I just wanted to show the pictures and then get to the last slide where, oh, Chloe Lees, I love her. I know that you wanted to talk for a minute about upcoming programs, including this series.
Yes. So we're really excited to be coming back here with more recommendations, probably with other topics. So let us know what you would like to see, whether it's enemies to lovers, or a particular dynamic, or even like, time loop romances. I don't know. Let us know what you want to see. We'll be back on June 18th, September 10th, and December 10th. And I'll let Hannah talk about our other upcoming events.
Yes, so we mentioned our book club tomorrow. We're discussing single player in conversation with the author, Tara Tai. You do not need to have read the book to attend, just prepare for spoilers. There will be delicious drinks from Right Tea and Espresso. You can bring in food from any of the vendors at the Speedway, so bring yourself and a friend. We also have the Bull Book Fair in Somerville on March 22nd. It's a full day of bookish activities. Check out our romance pop-up, say hello. We'd love to meet you face to face. And we'll, as Lily mentioned, we'll be back with Ashland soon, and I cannot wait. Thank you so much to Mina and the Ashland Public Library. This was fantastic. I loved this conversation.
So much fun.
Absolutely. I'm like, this is pure pig heaven for me because one, I love bacon, and second, I really appreciate your time and thoughtfulness around this topic and the fact that you jumped on this as soon as I asked you because I was just like, I need to do this.
Of course. It's a
Yeah.
treat.
Absolutely. So I will send out a list of books with buy links as well as the video to everybody just as soon as we are done. And of course, you can always get these books from your local library. So thank you, Hannah and Lily. I love this. I'll see you in 3 months for this session, this program, but I'll also see you at RomCon because I'm going to make you come.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, please.
Love to.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful evening and happy reading.
Good night.